Hi friends, welcome to day one of our Yin and Meditation Challenge. For these practices, I want you to feel free to put your coziest clothes on to be nice and warm, to have all the props that you like out. Sometimes in these practices, I actually put a blanket on top of my mat. Since we're not doing any standing work, you can have that extra softness underneath you if you choose. And for today's practice, I'm going to use a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, you can use 1 or 2 pillows and a strap because we're going to begin in a hamstring stretch. So let's lie on our back to get started and begin to feel your body getting a little more gravity fed, so getting a little more heavy. You might close your eyes for this part. And let's meet with conscious awareness of our breath. So if that feels okay for you, you can put one hand on your chest, one hand on your abdomen. And without needing to change anything, to fix anything, to apply any technique, simply notice your breathing. I should add that if noticing your breath is not safe feeling for you, you can switch your awareness to external anchors, like noticing your body weight on the floor, or looking around your space, or hearing any sounds that you hear. Feel free to switch that up if you need. If it's okay for you to be with your breath, I'm going to ask you to notice which hand is moving a little more. Is it your top hand or your lower hand with your breath? Now, if it's interesting to you, can you make a little more movement happen in your lower hand? So breathing a little more into your abdominal cavity, feeling the swirl of the inhale under your hand as you breathe in and out through your belly. And this might be a breath practice that you come back to as we move through some of these shapes. So to start out, we can take our right knee in towards our chest, hug it in, and start to stretch our left leg out towards straight. Let's take a breath in there and out. Then let's take our right knee a little more towards our right armpit, so slightly to the side. And take a breath in there and out. Now for this next bit, this hamstring stretch, you're always welcome to re-bend your left knee, or you can keep your left leg long and grab a hold of your strap, take it around the arch of your right foot, and you can wrap your strap around your hands once or twice like a little boxer tape wrap. And then bend your right leg and kick it out towards straight. And bend. And kick it out towards straight. Now you're welcome to keep going with the movement. And if you like, you can really reach your heel up towards the ceiling there, bringing your toes more towards your shin. Or you can settle in stillness for a few breaths. And I'm already noticing my digestion is really gurgling away, and that's always a nice sign for me to validate my parasympathetic nervous system activity. So sometimes when I lie down on my back and take a few deep breaths, my digestion really starts going, and that's part of the parasympathetic nervous system really kicking in. So I'm grateful for that. One of my friends says that if you're farting and burping and gurgling in your belly when you're practicing, then you're dropping into that parasympathetic. So maybe some good things are happening. All right, if you like, you can apply a little movement here. We'll be here for a little longer. Maybe circle, like you're drawing a circle on the ceiling with your big toe. You can slow down your breath a fraction if you like. I'm putting a little attention into pressing my pelvis into the ground and also keeping my left leg, big toe pointing up and knee pointing up towards the ceiling. Okay, I'm going to give you an opportunity to switch it up here. So you can take both edges of the strap in your right hand, and your left hand can go on your left hip to apply some downward pressure into your left hip as you take your right leg out to the side. So you can take your right leg out to the side a little or a lot. If you like, you can also make a little kickstand support with your right elbow and hold onto your outer right leg anywhere that feels right for you. And you can also have your right leg a little more towards straight. So wherever you land there, you can take a couple breaths. And you might notice that there's a couple of ways to take your leg out to the side. You can turn your right toes down to the floor, kind of spiraling your hamstring, the underside, the posterior leg up towards the ceiling. Or you can take the outer foot to the ground, which might lower your leg a little in space, taking your inner leg up towards the ceiling. I feel a little more resistance in my hip joint when I take the inner leg up, so I'm going to stay with that hamstring up movement and pointing my toes down. You can definitely play with both and explore both. You might think about turning your belly button opposite of your right leg and even looking over your left shoulder. That might give you a little more weight in the left side of your body. Let's take a couple breaths into this. Inner leg, back of the leg stretch. Sometimes I notice I put a little more effort into the breath if the posture feels intense. So you're invited to check in with that and feel free to soften the edges. Maybe soften the edges of the shape, soften the edges of your breath. Okay, I'll invite you to pull the leg all the way back up, your leg all the way back up to center, and switch the clasp so your left hand holds onto the strap, and then roll all the way over onto your left hip. So if your bolster is on your right side, or your left side, sorry, it's set up maybe perfectly for you to let your right leg fall onto. Your right leg might not fall all the way onto the bolster. In that case, you can make that little kickstand elbow and hold your leg out in space wherever you land, and your right arm can come out to the side. If you like, your leg can come all the way down onto the bolster, and you can span your chest and your belly button opposite now the direction of your right leg. Feel free to bend your right leg any amount. And for some of you, if you'd like to add on a little more sensation of stretch, you can curl your head up, little abdominal there, bend your bottom leg, lift your left foot so that you can catch it with your right hand, and then pull your left knee more in line with your torso. So pull it a little bit behind you and lay back down onto your back. That might increase the sensation in a lot of areas in the front of your left leg and your outer right hip. Another thing you can explore is taking your top right hip down, away from you, lengthening the whole right side of your low back. So you don't have to do all the variations or even try them. And if it feels like you just jumped into a scalding hot bath, you're welcome to slowly like dip your toes in and wait a little. Sometimes some of these shapes take a bit of coaxing, a bit of time to settle in. You're always welcome to come back to that more abdominally focused breathing and see if that feels supportive for your nervous system. Okay, let's pull that right leg all the way back up to center. Bring our hips to center, unhook the strap, plant our feet, and I'm gonna ask you to do a little heel rock here. So it's kind of like if your leg was outstretched and you were rocking your heel away from you and towards you like that, from your heel, from your ankle, doing that with your feet on the ground, a little heel rock. And that kind of bobs your pelvis or oscillates your pelvis up and down or forwards and back a little. And you might feel that reverberating through your spine, even through your neck. So you're welcome to do that for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and stop. Take a breath in there to any residual sensations you feel. And right now, this is enough to pause, to notice. And you can take your knees in when you're ready, cross at your ankles. You can hold onto your knees and give yourself a circle through your knees. Sometimes I think about it's like a big salad bowl of your pelvis and you're getting every part of the bottom of that bowl, massaging it into the ground. Maybe switch directions. And let's switch sides. So right leg plants, left knee comes into chest. You can stretch that right leg out towards straight, that's optional. Right knee, right big toe can point straight up. And then you can take that knee out to the side towards the armpit and see if that changes. Stretch in your right hip flexor. Maybe it changes the way that you're closing your left hip. Beautiful. Okay, let's take that left leg up and hook it. Hook it with a strap. Can do that little boxer tape wrap around your hands for the strap, and you can bend and kick the leg out towards straight. Bend and kick out towards straight. Maybe you stay with that one more time. You can even reach your heel up, reach your toes down towards your shin. You might not get all the way straight. That's totally fine. This is your practice, so go to that place where the sensation feels just enough, like you're slowly lowering yourself into that beautiful hot bath. And we'll stay for a few breaths. Feel free to bring the leg a little more in towards you or away from you. And you might think about pressing the pelvis down, your pelvis, into the ground instead of your low back. If there's a little concavity in your low back, that is great. Maybe a little emphasis on your right toes and your right knee pointing straight up towards the ceiling. And let's start to switch this. Oh, maybe there's a circle in there, so you can circle like you're drawing a circle on the ceiling. Let's not forget that. Stirring up the hip. And we'll take the strap in left hand and start to take the strap out, to take the leg out to the side. I'm gonna take my bolster here over to my right to prep me for the next shape. And I've got a wall kind of like perfectly situated to push my foot into, which is nice. But if you don't, that's okay. And you can have a kickstand with your elbow to hold your leg and let go of the strap or use the strap. Your right hand can go on your right hip to apply some downward pressure. With your right leg, you might think about the top of your right femur bone, the top of your right leg, pressing down to the ground. So really anchoring down there instead of the top of your pelvis where your back is on the ground. Think about taking the top of your thigh bone down, and you might have that little concavity in your low back. There's also that subtlety of turning your hamstring up or turning your inner leg towards the ceiling. And you might get different feelings in your hip and definitely different lines of stretch. So you can play with both. Maybe looking over your right shoulder, your right belly, your belly button can also roll in the opposite direction of your leg. And let's take a couple more breaths here. Feel free to come back to that abdominally focused breath. Okay, we're gonna let that leg come all the way back center, and you might shimmy on your mat a little to the left side as we start to take the left leg across, our left leg across our body, where we're turning onto the outer right hip and turning onto the outer right part of our foot, a little hip flip there, and you might set up your bolster to take the strap in your right hand and let it rest on the bolster. You might be having that leg a little higher, a little bent, holding onto your leg wherever you can with your right elbow on the ground. And some people might even hold their foot. So as you start to spiral open, you can take your left arm out to the side, maybe spin your chest a little more towards the ceiling. You might think about taking that top left hip down and away, so depressing that left sit bone, and that might give you a bit more space through your low back on the left side. Again here, you can curl up, bend your bottom right leg, lift your left foot to catch it with your right foot to catch it with your left hand, and aim your right knee more in line with your body. So aim it a little behind you, and you might come back down onto the ground. So that will likely increase sensation all over hips and legs. So it feels like you just jumped into a very hot spring. You can come out and kind of soften the edges and come in a little slower. Maybe you have a lot of intensity in the shape and you play with changing your breathing pattern, slowing down your breath, maybe making your breath a little softer, and scanning your body and seeing if there's places of tension where you can soften and let go. And does that intensify the sensation or soften it? So much to explore. Let's take a couple more breaths there. Okay, we're gonna slowly let go of that bottom right leg. If you have it clasped, unhook your strap, turn all the way back onto your back, and you can, if it feels okay for you, you can do that heel rock, so that shifting your heel from your ankle so that your pelvis moves forward and back, kind of up and down a little bit, without lifting your pelvis off the ground. So it's really relaxed through the pelvis and the spine and the head, neck and shoulders. And we're going for kind of loosening up tight fascia at the back of the pelvis, through the spine. Maybe let your jaw go. Kind of let your mouth hang open if that feels okay. And you might stay here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you can stop and notice any residue from that. Maybe there's a little wave of relaxation moving through your body, or you might notice something else. Okay, again, you can cross at your ankles here, draw your knees in, and do a circle movement with your knees, getting every bit of that salad bowl. I have this beautiful big blue marbly colored salad bowl, so I think about that. Getting every bit of the bottom of the pelvis with this massage. You can draw your knees in, give yourself a hug, and we'll start to come up towards our meditation. So for the meditation part, if you're really tired, you're so welcome to lie down in a final resting shape. Throw a blanket over top of yourself, or you can sit up, elevate your hips if you need. Maybe cover yourself with a blanket. It's getting a little colder here these days. And find a placement for your hand that works. Maybe resting them in your lap, or having them palms down or palms up on your legs. You're welcome to close your eyes. You can also keep them open and continue to use those external anchors like sound and grounding and sight. You are welcome to bring your awareness to your breath. And we're going to come back to, we're going to be invited to come back to leaving our breath alone. So perhaps we were putting a bit of effort into abdominal breathing, and here, how would it feel to witness our breath, to trust that our body knows how to breathe, and watch our breath. Maybe you follow your breath all the way up the inhale, all the way down the exhale. And you might get curious as to where you feel your breath. Where do you feel your breath the most? And you also might get curious to where you like to feel your breath. If your awareness is on your breath here, is there a place in your body that you enjoy feeling your breath? And you might leisurely bring your attention there, trusting that your body knows how to breathe. Trusting that you don't need to change anything in this moment, that you don't need to fix yourself. In this moment, nothing needs to be fixed. And if you've come away from contact with something that's happening in the present moment, whether it be your breath or sight or sound or grounding, you're invited to leisurely come back to a point of awareness. And if it feels okay for you, whether your eyes are open or closed, take your awareness to the space in between your eyebrows. And from that space, bring your awareness straight back into the center of your skull. Maybe towards the middle of your brain. And imagine a relaxation spreading through the center of your brain, out towards your skull. Perhaps relaxing around your scalp, your temples, your eyes, your jaw, your neck, your shoulders, your back body, your abdomen, your legs, your hips, your low back, your feet, your arms, your wrists, your hands, your chest, your heart. And close this practice if you're feeling any deep appreciation for anything, any gratitude. You might tune into that. You're welcome to take a bit of a bigger breath. If you like, you can take your hands together at your chest and take a moment to acknowledge the time you took for yourself today to make choices that support you. May you have peace.